you enjoyed those lovely instrumentals. Caleb also wrote the music for GraysMatter Podcast. So, if you're thinking, wow, yeah, I really like what I'm hearing from this dude. Like, yeah, you can hear him all over the place. I hope you had a good week. My week was, truth be told, it was a little of a weird one. So, with GraysMatter Podcast, we're actually picking up right where we left off last Saturday, because that's just how it rolls sometimes. So as a friendly reminder, Justin and Nat are here talking, and it's been a whole week. I gotta be real honest, I've actually forgotten what they were talking about. So we're gonna not pick up exactly where we left off, but I'm gonna go back a little bit just to, honestly, for more than anything, just to jog my own memory. So let's just dive right in here.
Oh, well then, I rescind my hypothesis.
Huh. But Demona, she just, when I first
She's
saw
the one
her,
with like
did it.
red hair, and she wears like a crop top.
Yep, she's the one.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about.
There we go. You might remember from last week. Those Discord notifications, man, they really mess with me.
When I first
She's
saw
the one
her,
with like
did it.
red hair, and she wears like a crop top.
Yep, she's the one.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. I get it.
Yeah.
So we're going through, right?
There was a
Going through and
comic that I saw. So I used to go to,
as well.
oh geez. Alright, there's two comic stores in my head, and it's not the Comic College. I don't even know if that one's still around anymore. Boop, 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 boop. Dreamhaven Books. That's it.
Let's see.
Comic that I saw. So I used to go to,
Okay, here we go.
So I used to go to,
So we're gonna put a marker there by that and then we're gonna pick back up at Dreamhaven Comics.
Dreamhaven Books.
Or books, rather. What?
That I saw. So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books. That's it.
So now if we were editing in a multi-track,
So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books. That's it. Now this was when Dreamhaven. That's it. That's it.
But yeah, I do a little fade so it wasn't quite so abrupt, but that's not you know what? I'm actually having a bit of a brainwave right in this moment. So let's try something new, like in real time. So as you can see, I actually produce a bunch of different podcasts, or produce or I've worked on. So we want to get into the right folder here. There we go. We're going to go episode 4, edited. Alright, so now, so when you're editing in a multi-track, right, like this is what it looks like. So now, like, for Justin and Nat, right, like, they're both on the same track, but there are like other shows that I work on that have multiple guests. Like there's one guest per track, so like Justin might be right up here and Nat might be right here. Yeah, when I very first started editing, I really didn't like editing in multi-track because I felt like it was more difficult. but it really does improve the sound quality. I mean, once I got into the groove of it, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's easier, but they are equally easy, is I guess what I would say. So here, let's just... Now, one thing with multi-track is that you do in just like regular single track, I use my mouse a lot. But in multi-track, I have to use hotkeys instead. It's kind of just how it rolls. So just want to pick up at 14.
Were TNG and Gargoyles produced by the same studio? Because if they were, then that's absolutely what happened, I bet.
No, because Gargoyles was a Disney thing and Next Generation was a Paramount thing.
Oh, well then, I rescind my hypothesis.
Huh. But, hey, Demona, she just, when I first
She's
saw
the one
her,
with, like,
did it.
Red hair, and she wears, like, a crop top.
Yep, she...
No, actually, since I'm re-listening to this is an occupational hazard. Like, I can hardly, it's hard for me to just listen to what I already edited and not go, oh, hey, I'm going to make another change to this.
Red hair, and she...
And since Nat did that double red, let's just... And we're just going to pop these together.
She's the one with, like, red hair, and she wears, like, a crop top.
Yep, she's the one.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. I get it.
Yeah. There was a comic that I saw. So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books. Now, this was...
Okay, here we go. So...
Now, this was... I used to go to Dreamhaven Book.
Okay, so we're just going to make like a tiny cut right there. So it doesn't need to be huge. And then I can just do a little fade.
So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books.
Maybe a little bit more of a fade.
So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books. Now,
there we go. I also don't love all this empty space, so I'm just going to go back through. And we'll just move all of these together. Sweet. Let's just give that another quick listen, okay?
Comic that I saw. So I used to go to Dreamhaven Books. Now, this was when
In
Dreamhaven
Uptown.
Books... Yeah, it's not there anymore. They moved to, it's still in Minneapolis.
All right.
They moved to,
Okay, so we got and that Discord notification. We've got a little dead space right here, so we'll just cut that right out.
They moved to, it's still in Minneapolis. It's east of
Okay,
the
as long as
freeway.
it's like... Okay, as long as it's still around, at least. Like, it didn't go out of business.
Yeah. Oh, I think Comic College is out of business. I gotta check this out right quick. College of Let's see. Gosh, I need to turn this up at least a little bit for myself. Yeah. Oh, I think Comic College is out of business.
I'm just gonna put a little marker right there because Justin said that he was gonna, or that they were gonna, look it up.
I gotta check this out right quick. College of Comic Book Knowledge. Oh, Comic College is still in business. It's on Nicollet now. Oh, Comic College is...
Okay, so then we're just gonna...
Okay, as long as it's still around, at least. Like, it didn't go out of business.
Yeah. Oh, I think Comic College...
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm just making a little bit of an independent editorial decision here. Right, because if you're listening, right, Justin made the comment that he thought that Comic College was out of business and then discovered, like, oh no, they're actually in business. So I want to just take a listen and see how this flows.
Still around, at least. Like, it didn't go out of business.
Yeah. Oh, Comic College is still in business. It's on Nicklet now.
Yeah, I think that sounds okay.
Okay, sweet.
Ooh.
Both are still in business. All right. So, anyway, at Dreamhaven Books, not to be confused with the College of Comic Book Knowledge.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
Here, we'll just boop. And here we go.
okay, sweet.
Ooh.
Both are still in business. Anyway, at Dreamhaven Books, not to be confused with the College of Comic Book Knowledge, two different institutions, there was a comic.
Pop a marker down here real quickly so I don't lose the spot.
With anthropomorphic with
Okay. So I don't know if any of you saw this, but an article that I've seen doing the rounds this week talks is actually I guess it's less of an article and more of a study talking about how ums and ahs and things that get a really bad rap in the podcast editing world actually help our brains to retain information like a tremendous amount. And that was very gratifying for me, but I'm seeing a lot of chatter like in the community about sorry, I'm trying to think about how to put this. Like how painful those ums and ahs are for them. It's definitely been a bit of an experience, and I'm curious, my one friendly viewer, if you want to put in the chat, like, what do you think about those ums, ahs, and whatnot? If you're listening to a podcast, like, I'm curious to know.
a comic with anthropomorphic animal people, and I don't remember the name of this comic for the life of me. I can't remember it, the name of it.
I wonder if he's talking about
But in
Animorphs.
one of them, I later discovered they were doing a parody of Ranma 1/2. Is that how you pronounce it? They were doing a parody of Ranma 1/2. Is that how you pronounce it? It's an anime.
Ranma 1/2?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard of
artist.
Ranma 1/2, but the concept of being splashed. But
Alright. Just since there's that double button there, we'll just... I'm sorry, I guess I just have, like, no maturity this morning. That's how it goes, you know?
Yeah.
so I hadn't heard of
artist.
Ranma 1/2, but the concept of being splashed by water changes your gender, or changes your sex. I mean, and I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Huh, that is interesting.
Huh. This very much interests me.
So, I think that some of the, like within the podcast editing community, a lot of the desire to, like, cut out as much dead space and, like, fill what you perceive as filler words as possible is because, like, right, some of these shows can get to be pretty long. And, like, for listeners, right, we want to make sure that you have the time to listen to as many as possible. Because I do, right? Like, we don't have infinite time.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Huh. This very much interests me. So I discovered two things at the same time that day.
I never really got, yeah, I know Ranma one half. I read a little bit of it. I never got super into it because oh God, the elder millennial weebs are going to come for my head. I'm not a big fan of Rumiko Takahashi, the author of that. I never really liked her stuff. She also did Inuyasha, if you know that one.
I have
So,
heard
like,
of Inuyasha. It was
yeah,
on Cartoon Network.
it was. So she's very respected, like very, very, well established mangaka. Manga.
Isn't it funny how if you have an experience and you want to avoid other people having that experience, sometimes you swing a little bit too hard in the other direction. I had an experience, I think I shared this last week. I had a networking meeting where I ended up just kind of getting bullied for how I speak, and that wasn't great. But now when I'm editing things...
It was. So she's very respected, like very, very, well established mangaka. But yeah, never really liked her stuff. But yeah, that's, I'm barely, like, basically, I'm one of those people who's like, there's a meme going around that, like, the idea, like, nobody hates Star Wars. Like,
since there were a few likes,
there's a meme going around that, the idea, like, nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody hates weebs more than other weebs.
Yeah. I get that. I mean, nobody hates Star Trek fans more than other Star Trek fans.
I think just get rid of some of that buffer time while Justin's talking about Star Trek. I know that buffer time is not solely a Star Trek concept, but how many of you are familiar with Lower Decks and buffer time? Like, that's what I always think of now when I hear the phrase buffer time. It's a good episode. That's for sure.
I get that. I mean, nobody hates Star Trek fans more than other Star Trek fans, I think.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes, it does. It makes me think of the meme from The Simpsons when Willie is complaining at Skinner about how various people ruin Scotland.
Them Scots ruin Scotland!
Yeah. Oh. Oh. If I can find which comic it was. If I can find which comic it was.
Ooh, alright. Let's do a fade there, huh?
If I can find which comic it was.
That's way better.
And there were so many comics in the 90s that just writing anthropomorphic comic 1990s will give me either too many results or not enough results. I may or might not put it in the show notes.
Do you remember what the overall premise of the
Well, maybe my guess is wrong. Maybe they're not talking about... Maybe he's not thinking of Animorphs. Because I don't think that was actually a comic.
I may or might not put it in the show notes.
Do you remember what the overall premise of the comic was?
Whoa. There we go.
I remember where it was in the store. Which does not help anybody because the store's not even the same location. But you go into the doors, you go to the left-hand side of the store, and you go down the that side of the store to
Oh my gosh. Excuse me.
the and you go down that side of the store to the not to the end, but to the end cap that's right before the end, and there it is.
Huh. Oh, isn't it funny how we can like remember the location of things years after we've been in a spot? Let's see. So I've been doing a lot of just kind of slicing and dicing here. I'm gonna take just like a quick minute to merge these clips. So all I did is I highlighted all of the clips, and I'm gonna click merge clips. So then they're not gonna be all these little like choppy spaces. So that'll just take a few seconds here. See, there we go. And now you can also see here on the side, right, that it's a merged file. So I like to merge the file periodically as I go along because just to make sure that things are staying in the right order. But then you do also have to keep track of how many you've done, so that when you know, if you're sending a file like to a client, you actually send them the right one. So yeah, that's something important to remember just as you're going along here. And I think I'm saying, I don't know, I wonder if Justin is thinking about Animorphs, because I don't know that I would characterize those as comics. I'm curious to find out.
Area,
Hey,
aka
Jack.
my closet. Yes.
But to the end cap that's right before the end, and there it is.
Sorry, my cat decided to let herself into my recording area.
Hey, Jack.
Huh. I'm going to add a marker. I'm not sure.
Sorry, my cat decided to let herself into my recording area,
Hey, Jack.
aka my closet. Yes. I knew that if I closed the door entirely, she would just start howling outside the door. So I leave it cracked, and then she just comes in every once in a while to see what's going on and then leaves again, which I think is a nice alternative.
That is a nice alternative.
But because I'm just sitting on the floor of my closet right now, so she comes in and I have to mute my mic so that you don't hear her crawling all over my keyboard.
When you're after your various sexual awakenings, I mean, when you're a
So yeah, I think our sweet little kitty, she's just gonna take a brief exit.
down that side of the store to the not to the end, but to the end cap that's right before the end, and there it is. After your various sexual awakenings, I mean, when you're younger, I mean, not into adulthood. All right, well, maybe even into adulthood. But the younger ones first. Did you have sex ed in your school? All right, well, maybe even into adulthood. But the younger ones first. Did you have sex ed in your school? Because we went to different school systems.
Well, we both were in... actually,
we both were in public.
Which schools?
But I went to Minneapolis public schools.
Oh, I was in Osseo District.
Yeah, see? So,
Let's see. We can ditch that little lip smack there. Just huzzah. Yeah, for me, it winds up being the small things, you know.
but I went to
Yeah.
Minneapolis public schools.
Oh, I was in Osseo District.
Yeah, see? So, they were run different. They were run at least somewhat differently.
Yeah. No, we had sex ed at my schools. We got the gist from them. Like
Let's see. We'll just go backwards.
I
There we go. Sweet.
No, we had sex ed at my schools. We got the gist from them. Like I remember we started sex ed, I think in 4th grade, I want to say, and that at that point it was just like, these are what the parts of your body are called. This is what puberty is. You're going to be encountering it soon enough, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then once we were in high school, they did the. And then once we were in high, once we.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave that in. Right? Like they're just having a nice conversation.
Soon enough, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once we were in high school, they did the whole. These are what STDs are. This is what the different types of contraception are. You won't catch AIDS from kissing people. Like I remember they had a whole unit debunking AIDS myths at the time. But in terms of like
One thing I often wonder, and I'm thinking about it now as Nat's talking about it, is what it would be like to have, excuse me, like all of your education in a single school district. That was absolutely not my experience growing up. We moved around a fair amount.
AIDS myths at the time, but in terms of like the real like more useful knowledge, like other than the basics of like what menstruation is and what puberty is and what sex is and what the different types of contraception are, I think most of the stuff that I learned, I actually learned at most of the stuff that I learned, I actually learned after high school, and it was from a live journal group, actually, back when live journal was still relevant.
Live journal.
Yeah. It was called Vagina Pagina was the name of the live journal group, and it was like one of the larger groups on there, and it was all about reproductive health, sexual.
There's nothing I love more than a good rhyme. Okay, here we go. We're just gonna do it that way.
Groups on there, and it was all about reproductive health, sexual health, that kind of thing.
The 2 sex ed courses.
Let's see. We're just gonna got so we'll just
sexual health, that kind of thing.
The 2 sex ed courses classes I remember in elementary, middle school. So I went to a K through 8 school. So elementary, middle were the same.
Okay, gotcha.
We're 6th grade and 8th. 6th grade and 8th grade. 5th grade and 8th grade. Hold on, whose classroom was that?
All right.
We're 6th grade and.
Let's see. Just pop down a little marker right there.
We're 6th grade and 8th. 6th grade and 8th grade.
I'm thinking is
5th grade and 8th grade.
Remember.
Hold on, whose classroom was that?
We'll just pick it right up there.
Yeah, sixth grade and eighth grade. And
Okay. Here we go.
yeah, sixth grade and sixth grade and
S's are tough.
sixth grade.
There we go. So to drop these markers, I'm actually hitting M for marker on my keyboard. So you can do it with your mouse too, but just like as a personal area of growth, I'm working on using hotkeys a little bit more. So if you don't see me clicking on things, that's how I'm doing that. It's just using hotkeys.
So elementary, middle were the same
okay,
thing for me.
gotcha.
Sixth grade and eighth grade.
Oh, hold on.
Through 8 school. So elementary, middle were the same
okay,
thing for
gotcha.
me. Sixth grade and eighth grade. And
Okay, shoot. Let's just.
elementary, middle school. So I went through to a K through 8 school. So elementary, middle were the same
okay,
thing for
gotcha.
me. We're sixth grade and eighth. Sixth grade and eighth grade.
Let's see.
Fifth grade and eighth grade. Hold on, whose classroom was that? Yeah, sixth grade and eighth grade.
All right, I think I'm gonna change what I thought. And just the beauty of being human, isn't it? That you have the capability to change your mind. It's a big deal.
Sixth grade and eighth grade.
At least I think it's a big deal.
Fifth grade and eighth grade. Hold on, whose classroom was that? Yeah, sixth grade and eighth grade. And
Yeah, it's great.
I remember touching condoms and watching a video about condom usage in sixth grade. And that's all I remember. Well, that and mishearing it and hearing condo. And so I was thinking that they were talking about condominiums and being confused.
Yeah, that would be super confusing.
Because what does a condominium have to do with sexual health?
Can't get pregnant if you have sex in a condo. That's just science.
And then in eighth grade, I remember there was a sex ed class, and I don't remember anything about it, except that I was there for it, and I paid attention. And I
Not
got
that
a
much
high-
attention, apparently.
Well, I got a
Nat just said what we were all thinking.
except that I was there for it, and I paid attention.
Not
Got
that
a
much
high-
attention, apparently.
Well, we didn't use letter grades. We used pass and fail, and pass plus, pass minus. And I got a pass plus, but all that information is just out of my head now. Also, it was in 1996, 1997, so
Oh, that's right. You're a little bit older than me, aren't you?
yeah. Though even before those, I did have Where Did I Come From? When I was like 5 or 6. So it was a book that talked about the human body and body parts. And so a good deal of stuff that we were being taught I already knew from having read this book multiple times, because I love to read and I love to know things.
Yeah, my best friend.
Let's see. A little double speak there.
I love to read and I love to know things.
My best friend. We're still friends. Like, we met on the first day of kindergarten, and we're still friends today. I remember she had a copy of. Oh man, I want to say it was similar to Our Bodies Ourselves. I don't know if it was actually that one, because I want to say it was actually produced by the American Girl Company, or published by the American Girl Company. I think they published like a book, a nonfiction book about like puberty and like body health and stuff for their child audience. And I think she had that.
My high school sex ed.
And I think she had that.
My high school sex ed was less informative, but I also went to a private school for sex ed. I went to a private school for high school.
Yeah, I was in public all through. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we still had sex ed in high school, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
Freshman year, was it freshman year? Yeah, freshman year, health class. There was a little bit of sex ed talk, I recall. I don't recall much about it.
Let's see.
I recall.
Does that notification sound like by itself? Let's find out.
There was a little bit of sex ed talk, I recall.
No.
I don't recall much about it.
Biscuits.
I remember that I only passed that class. I failed both quarters, but got A's on the semester exams. And that boosted my semester grades up just high enough to passing. So the information didn't stick throughout the quarters, but it was there at the end of the semester. That's the only reason why I passed. That's the
Boom. All right. So, here we go.
but it was there at the end of the semester. That's the only reason why I passed.
Oof.
And then there was a religion class my freshman or sophomore year, and I remember freshman or sophomore year, and I remember a teacher saying that it's hard to pull out when you want to push in. We're talking about how the pulling out method is ineffective. It's hard to pull out when you want to push in. We're talking about how the pulling out method is ineffective.
They said that in religion class?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. Love that.
And then my senior year religion class, teacher showed us.
Here we go.
Religion class, teacher showed us a video of an abortion.
You went to a Catholic school, didn't you?
I did go to a Catholic school.
Yeah, okay. Woo.
I didn't sit through the video. I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, videos of medical procedures are just not for everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah, okay. Woo.
I didn't sit through the video. I didn't want to watch it. I left the room. And here I am now, an atheist.
Gee, I wonder how that happened.
Atheist.
Oh, I hear a little child stirring downstairs. I wonder if we're gonna have a guest.
I left the room. And here I am now, an atheist.
Gee, I wonder how that happened.
Mm-hmm. Though that was happening before I, went to that school. It was just slow going. The,
Let's see, we're just gonna... Oh man, here comes a...
Ada Drain.
Oh, hey, lady. Uh,
Are you recording?
I am recording. I think your tablet is charging in your daddy's room if you want to go get it.
Yeah. Is Daddy awake?
No, he is not awake. Hey, honey, you can get your tablet from me in daddy's room if you'd like.
Just give us a little bit. Hi, world.
We just have a family of early risers around here. There's no doubt about that. All right.
Before I, went to that school, it was just slow going. But yeah, I don't think.
Let's see.
I don't think.
See you when you get down, Mom.
Okay, yep, I'll be down in about 45 minutes, okay?
That's not so bad. Don't edit that part out.
Honey, this is live.
Oh. Still don't edit that part out.
Went to that school. It was just slow going. I don't think. I don't think school.
Oh, oops. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so if you're ever doing a podcast and you want to hire somebody to edit your show, or you have a friend who is using your show to help hone their skills, but maybe they're not working for money, and that's why they're live streaming the episodes to try to build an audience to monetize. One thing that at least I find really super helpful is if you do make kind of like a you either like stay quiet while you're processing. I know it feels uncomfortable, but it's totally fine. Or if you are like an auditory processor, right? Like you need to actually be verbalizing, making some kind of a noise, right? Like blah, 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 blah. Once your brain is cut up and you're actually singing your piece, that can be super helpful.
Before I, went to that school, it was just slow going. I don't think school adequately prepared me for having sex.
There we go.
Adequately prepared me for having sex any more than, even less so, having, various sexual awakenings throughout time, despite having, actual sex ed courses at public school and then crappy sex ed courses.
Just get rid of some of that quiet space. Now, one thing that I don't like about editing and multi-track is that so like over here it won't tell you really how much shorter it's getting. And that's something that
At public school and
I
then
like to see.
crappy sex ed courses in high school.
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, like a lot of most of what I found actually useful came from a live journal group.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't start having sex until I was in college. Most of what I found actually useful came from a live journal group. Because like I didn't start having sex until I was in college. And I was very, very active on live. And sex until I was in college. I was very, very active on live. Of course, by the time you're in college, I think they kind of assume that you've already learned everything you need to know about sex.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is definitely not true. But yeah, like it was through this live journal. Not true. But yeah, like it was through this live journal group that, like, for example, the first time I got a urinary tract infection, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. And it was through this group that I learned what a UTI is, what its symptoms are, and, you're not going to die, probably, just,
Probably. Yeah, just cranberry juice. Or, man, the worlds weren't learning a lot about me, probably. The world. Like, all the folks that do actually end up watching these things. Another thing that helps me a ton is a vaginal probiotic. So, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to talk about it.
and, you're not going to die, probably, just, drink a lot of water, take some cranberry juice, and if it doesn't go away in like a day or two, go to a doctor, get some antibiotics.
You cut off there?
Oh, I did? Sorry. Yeah, no, it was... when the first I had a UTI, I was like...
Oh, okay. We're gonna... It's just at the very end there.
Is what its symptoms are. Group that, like, for example, the first time I got a urinary tract infection, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. It was through this live journal group that, like, for example, the first time I got a urinary tract it was through this live journal group that, like, when the first I had a UTI, I was like, I don't...
There we go. And boom. Just gonna ditch those markers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is definitely not true. But yeah, like it was through this live journal group that, like, when the first I had a UTI, I was like, I don't know what's happening. Am I gonna die? What is this? And this live journal group was like, don't worry, urinary tract infection, stay hydrated, drink cranberry juice, go to the doctor, they'll give you some antibiotics. If it doesn't clear up within like 24 hours, you'll be okay. It's like, okay. And we had never learned anything like that in sex ed, even though UTIs are really, really for people with vaginas. So, and it's something they should know about. Never learned about it.
Yeah, I learned about that because a friend of mine told me when I was an adult. I didn't have sex until I was...
Yeah, so after I did not learn about them at all from school or my family. But after I learned about them by myself and started talking to, I think I just mentioned it in passing to my mom because, like, you have to drink, like, actual cranberry juice, not, like Welch's cranberry juice cocktail. And regular cranberry juice is, oh, it's so disgusting. And then my mom told me, so in my family, shopping on Sunday is a big no-no. Like, did I actually say it? You do not shop on Sundays. So, okay. Alright. You guys, just play with your... Excuse me for a sec, guys. kids, man. Anyway, I think I was sharing a relatively benign story about cranberry juice. So yeah, shopping on Sundays in my family was like a huge no-no. My mom told me that one time she remembers my grandma having to go to the store on a Sunday for some cranberry juice. So I was like, thanks, Mom. Would have been good to know, like, years ago that this was a thing.
A friend of mine told me when I was an adult, I didn't have sex until I was 19. Hold on. Yes, 19.
Same.
Or was I 20? All right, I gotta think about this again. 19.
Same.
Or was I 20? All right, I gotta think about this again. Okay, 18, 19. Move there, move back, move there. 20. I was 20. Didn't have sex until I was 20.
Let's see, hold on. How is this gonna flow now?
Till I was 19. Hold on. Yes, 19. Didn't have sex until I was 20. Had sex until I was...
Okay, so I'm just gonna ditch all those little clips.
When I was an adult. I didn't have sex until I was... Didn't have sex until I was 20. And, so in the years leading up to it...
Go.
Didn't have sex until I was 20. So in the years leading up to it, people would... my friends would come to me with, you know, asking for relationship advice. I was like, well, I haven't even dated before, so here's some stuff that I would do if I were in your position. Just be honest and talk about your feelings. And then people would tell me about their sexual adventures. Talk about your feelings. And then people would tell me about their sexual adventures and ask me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I've never had sex. So either be reading stuff, mostly in books, because limited access to the internet, being the, you know, early 21st century, 2001, 2002, or friends of mine telling me their experiences throughout their years. But yeah, okay. I'll keep that in mind. So yeah, most of my learning came from people telling me yeah, okay. I'll keep that in mind. So yeah, most of my learning came from people telling me what they've learned and then reading about it myself as access to information became easier to get.
Yeah, I was the first my high school peer group to have, like, I immediately went off to college and started fucking her. Much to their shock, I think I actually lost a friend or two because they were apparently much more sex negative than I was expecting them to be. And as soon as they found out that I had started having sex, they were like, ugh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, well, whatever. Obviously, not that great of friends anyway.
Yeah. I was the last of my peer group to start having sex. I was the last in my peer
But
group to start having sex. And not, for lack of trying, but I was the last.
and I'm still with the first guy I had sex with, where we live together now. Yay!
Nice.
It's funny how that works out,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's pretty cool. It's nice how that's worked out.
It is. I'm still friends with the first person I had sex with. We never dated, but we wouldn't be a good
I mean,
relationship match anyway.
and
I mean, that's just how it rolls sometimes, isn't it?
We never dated, but we wouldn't be a good
I mean,
relationship match anyway.
and it's good that you guys recognize that.
Yeah, but we're still friends, and I value our friendship.
Yeah, I'm friends with my exes. Either we're still friends or we just like move each other's lives, and there wasn't really any fallout per se. We just kind of moved on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here.
That's that's one of the biggest red flags is when someone's all like, oh, when they have a lot of acrimonious exes, it's like, okay, there's a common denominator here. And it's you.
Yeah.
Maybe
If I was having this conversation in real time, I would also point out that toxic masculinity can play a pretty big role.
there's a common denominator here, and it's you.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe you're really bad at breakups. Have you considered that?
I always worry about that when people say you shouldn't be friends with your exes. I'm like, but
Oh God, I
why?
hate that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be friends with your exes.
I mean, I make the toxic masculinity comment not because I think that I'm like perfectly growing up or anything like that, but
Oh God, I
Why?
hate that.
I've broken up
Yeah.
with every person.
Like, you don't have to be friends with your exes. Like I said, like with some of my exes, we don't talk anymore just because we're not, in each other's lives anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hate them, and
Yeah.
I presume they don't hate me.
Ah, shoot. Although now that I'm back here, all right, so we're at like an hour and 9 minutes. Okay, here we go.
They don't hate me. If they do, they've kept it secret.
Exactly. I don't know. People are strange.
Yeah, I think it's one of those hetero monogamous things where like you make this one relation hetero monogamous things where like you make this one relationship the most important relationship in your life, and if it doesn't work, that is like the fundamental betrayal, because you've made it the center point of your life, and then if it doesn't work out, that means that the center point of your life has failed, and that's just unacceptable. So you have to cast off, you have to cut off and shun and spit upon the body part, essentially, to get into biblical metaphors here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That never worked for me, and it's not going to now.
Well, I think
That never worked for me, and it's not going to now.
I think that the thing is that like I don't have the energy to do that kind. Because like
Oh no.
or holding a grudge or hating someone, that's a lot of mental energy. Like that whole cliche of, they live rent free in your head. Mental energy. Like that whole cliche of, they live rent free in your head. Like, yeah, like I don't have time to think about that kind of stuff. I've got, more important in my life to devote mental energy to than some slight that someone did to me 5 years ago, whatever.
Yeah. Plus, I already have
Some slight that someone did to me.
All right. So it's getting to be that time of the morning for me. Where I'm going to be at wrapping up here. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me here on this, for me anyway, early Saturday morning. Now in the last hour and 13 minutes, we've made it through about 15 minutes more of this winding conversation. And I very much appreciate that you're making a little bit of time to spend time here with me. If you're finding kind of this real time going through episodes to be helpful, I would absolutely appreciate if you could subscribe. And I know that I'm doing these super early. Part of the reason for that is one of my kiddos that you saw making an appearance here early has occupational therapy early on Saturday mornings, and I needed another thing to get me rolling out of bed on a Saturday morning because it gets to be rough, and this little hack seems to be working well for my brain right now. So I'm just rolling with it. Sorry, I realized while I'm chit-chatting here, I could just close out some of that empty space. So, but anyway, yeah, if you're finding this to be helpful, or if you have questions, right? If you have things that you would like for me to talk about while I'm going through this process, yeah, please feel free to ask, because part of the reason that I'm doing this, right, is to monetize. Oh, excuse me.
Are you talking?
God lordy. Okay, so anyway, because part of the reason that I'm doing this is to monetize, which is why I would appreciate your support. But yeah, if you have things that you would like for me to talk about that you think would be helpful in your own journey, let me know, because I'm happy to go through it, and share what I know, because that's what we're here for. So until next week, I hope you have a great week, and I'm really excited to pick back up with this sex positive talk next Saturday morning with you. All right, bye.